4 major takeaways from the Supreme Court's most consequential term in years. Number 1. Curbing federal agency power while increasing judicial oversight. 40 years ago, there was a decision on regulatory power known as Chevron, which effectively gave federal agencies who are experts in each matter the authority to enact rules and regulations to fill gaps in the laws passed by Congress. Most day-to-day life functions are ruled by federal agencies. So the EPA makes rules about clean air and the environment. The FDA makes rules about food. There's also the FBI, the IRS. You get the picture. Well, the conservative majority of the Supreme Court just overruled that decision, meaning it will now be up to courts to decide whether an agency has acted within its authority, leaving judges to make calls about policy. This could benefit private organizations and corporations. Second, there were 2 major wins for Trump. One involved an effort to remove Trump from the Colorado ballot because of his actions surrounding the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol. The Colorado Supreme Court ruled he could, indeed, be kept off the state's primary and general election ballots under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, an obscure provision that bars oath-taking insurrectionists from holding public office. But the Supreme Court unanimously reversed that ruling, finding that states do not have the power to enforce Section 3 and keep a presidential candidate from the ballot. Then came the big one. In a 6-3 ruling along ideological lines, the Supreme Court said former presidents are entitled to immunity for official acts taken while in office. This case came out of Trump's prosecution for his alleged scheme to subvert the transfer of presidential power after the 2020 election. In a scathing dissent, Justice Sotomayor wrote that this decision reshapes the institution of the presidency. It makes a mockery of the principle foundational to our Constitution and system of government that no man is above the law. Number 3, 2 cases before the Supreme Court this term involved abortion, and in both, the justices sidestepped decisions on the merits. The first involved an effort to roll back a series of actions taken by the Food and Drug Administration to make a widely used abortion pill easier to obtain. The Supreme Court unanimously rejected the challenge brought by a group of anti-abortion rights doctors and medical associations, finding they lacked the legal right to sue. The second case involved the intersection of a federal emergency care law and Idaho's near-total ban on abortion. This marked the first time since Roe v. Wade was overturned that the justices reviewed a state abortion law. The Supreme Court cleared the way for hospitals in Idaho to provide emergency abortions, at least for now. The decision means that while litigation makes its way through the courts, hospitals can perform emergency abortions to stabilize patients without being subject to prosecution under Idaho's abortion ban. Number 4, Justice Amy Coney Barrett forged her own path. Nearly 4 years after she was confirmed to the Supreme Court, the youngest justice split from her fellow conservatives on several major decisions. In one example, she authored the dissent, joined by the 3 liberals, to the decision that blocked the EPA's plan to address interstate pollution and accused the majority of basing its ruling on an underdeveloped theory that is unlikely to succeed. In a second example, Barrett joined Justices Kagan and Sotomayor in their dissent to a case that narrowed the Justice Department's use of a federal obstruction statute leveled against January 6th defendants. Barrett is still a conservative jurist, to be sure, said Allison Orr Larson, a law professor at William & Mary, but she's conservative in the more traditional sense of that word. She's cautious and deliberate. That is coming out in this term maybe more than it has before.